in a Freedom of Information Act via a lawsuit for them to release it. And they finally released it just recently, about a month or so ago. And we got to see all kinds of different angles and very close-up shots of World Trade Center 7, only to find out that there's no way in hell fires or anything else brought that building down once you see the videos that are out there. It ain't so. Not possible. So now, this is on Fox News, of all places, right? Glenn Beck is now all of a sudden coming out exposing George Soros, as if there really is this inner fighting between the elites, as the Webbot had mentioned way earlier also. That would come out, and it even said 2010 will be the date that this starts to take place. Sometime in 2010 will be the time that they lose grip on humanity somewhat, and it just gets worse for them every year, and there will be infighting. So, why is Fox News all of a sudden allowing Glenn Beck to really cover this stuff, completely expose George Soros? Are you kidding me? That's a huge, bold move. And then all of a sudden I find out Lou Dobbs, who was forced out of CNN because he was exposing NAFTA and the Amero currency and all that stuff that they were trying to pull on us. He was let go from CNN for exposing that. Now all of a sudden Fox News hires him. Something's going on here where Rupert Murdoch or whatever is saying, okay, you know, maybe there's some kind of infighting, and it appears that actually is true, based off of just that. I mean, there's no way that they're the only ones really talking about this stuff. Everyone else is a hush hush and don't talk about this, can't talk about that, you know. And there's still a few bozos on there, you know. Hannity, bozo. O'Reilly, bozo. But Glenn Beck, you know, like Alex Jones said, he was 20% on my friendly list. Now he's 40%. After reading the news the other day about him going after Soros, he's up to 80%. Yeah, I agree. This is interesting, and again, this is also within this time, these dates of the time frame of the tipping point. November 15th. Troubled California, which was Monday. Troubled California begins a $14 billion bond sale. November 16th. Economist Chris Whalen thinks that California will default on its debt, hammering all the pension funds and other investors who have loaded up on apparently safe state bonds. The state won't immediately default, he says. It will start by issuing the same sort of IOUs that it issued to itself, by itself during its budget crisis last year. But eventually the debts will have to be restructured, and this will result in those who own California's bonds receiving less than 100 cents on the dollar. That's true. California has an economy larger than most countries. They're done. November 15th, back a day. Ireland is reportedly battling international efforts led by the European Union. November 15th, Ireland is reportedly battling international efforts led by the European Union to bail out the country to the tune of $115 billion. In case you're wondering, Ireland's GDP is 267 billion. Gross domestic product every year, 267 billion. They want them to get this bailout of 115 billion. That's almost half, not quite, about 40% or so, of their GDP, for God's sakes. That would be like taking the United States, whose GDP is 14.6 trillion, and saying, guys, listen, we need a bailout of $5 trillion. What do you think would happen to the markets the next day? What do you think would happen to anything financial the next day if that came out? We need a 40% bailout of our GDP. Which is about $5 trillion. Are you kidding me? But because it's little old Ireland, it doesn't matter. Just a little country. It's the same percentage. The country's in deep crap. So, I think we're going to see the entire... This is my own personal thinking. I think we are going to see the European Union absolutely break apart. And it may even, in fact, start within the 63-day Webbot period of the massive downhill thing, whatever, who knows. And once one country leaves, once one single country leaves and says, we don't want to be a part of this anymore, it's good night Euro, good night European Union, good night all of that nonsense. Then we have November 16th, contagion hits Portugal as Ireland dithers on rescue. The EU authorities have begun to vent their fury against Ireland over its refusal to accept a financial rescue, fearing that the crisis will engulf Portugal and Spain unless confidence is restored immediately to Eurozone bond markets. I can assure you, confidence will not be restored. I can assure you 100%. You can't put confidence in anybody right now with bonds and this and that nonsense. The euro is facing an unprecedented crisis after another country indicated on Monday that it was at a high risk of requiring an international bailout. Portugal became the last European nation to admit it was on the brink of seeking help from Brussels after Ireland confirmed it had begun preliminary talks over its debt problems. Greece also disclosed that its economic problems are even worse than previously thought. Angela Merkel, the German chancellor, raised the specter of the euro collapsing, as she warned, if the euro fails, then Europe fails. Then I guess Europe's going to fail because that's exactly what's going to happen. November 15th, back a day, New Jersey lawmakers to announce opposition to full-body scanning at airports. Major uproar going on over the last few days in regards to TSA pat-downs and groping people. Now a national pat-down strike is being called for on November 24th. I just read a minute ago that one of the signers of that bill, one of these bills, anyways, to put those damn scanners in the airports, has just come out and said, listen, the airports don't have to opt into TSA. They can actually tell them to go get bent. We don't want their services. They can do that. So he urged people to go contact your local airport and tell them to get TSA the hell out of there. I mean, this thing's taking off right now, pretty heavy duty. The Greek 5-year CDs or CDS is blowing out by about 100 basis points to 950 to 990 after Austria threatened to withhold its portion of the Greek bailout funds because they don't believe Greece has met the conditions for the next round of money. Quote, we are getting indications that the Greeks can't stick to their plan in a sufficient manner, in particular on the revenue side, said the Austrian finance minister. I just said Greece just came out the other day and said that, as German chancellor said, the euro is going to collapse, and if the euro collapses, then Europe fails. I mean, Greece just said, yeah, we're not quite where we thought we were. We're a little more. We already knew this. We've already been discussing this. Max Kaiser's been talking about this. He already knew this. Gerald Celente already knew this. All the real experts already knew this. But the bozos at the Federal Reserve and the banksters, they're all lying through their teeth, of course. No, we're going to fix this. We know how to fix this. We got you into this mess, but trust us, we'll get you out. Sign here and get this massive 40% of your GDP loan that we know you can't pay back, because if you could pay back, why the hell do you need a loan to begin with? So whatever you're struggling with now, you're still going to struggle with, because now you have this massive loan to pay back and deal with the terrible revenues declining, and they already know you can't pay it back. That's how the IMF and the World Bank, that's how they roll. They know this. And then when they leave, they say, okay, we'll wipe the debt clean, but we're taking the collateral. That electric company, that's ours. That waterway by your port, that's ours. And those toll roads, yeah, we'll take those too. That was already agreed to usually in the loan. They don't just loan for the sake of loaning and helping countries. No, they loan to be loan sharks and take massive collateral from you because they already know you can't pay it back. That's what the IMF has been doing for the last 20 plus years easily to all the third world countries. Now they're going to do it to the supposed first and second world countries, like the ones I just mentioned. And they're basically telling Ireland, take this loan or else. Well, I hope Ireland decides to do what I think Brazil did a long time ago and say, oh yeah, F off, we don't care, we don't need it. We'll get by fine. And actually they did. Worked out good for them. So, November 16th, the real IRA, which stands for some kind of resistance group to government, has threatened to attack British bankers and their companies, claiming they benefit only a social elite at a cost to millions of victims. I couldn't agree more. Benefit a social elite, and it is at the cost of millions of us peasants, peasantry, consumer, taxpayer, whatever you want to call yourself. That's the bottom line. So these guys are threatening to attack the British bankers. Do you think that really bothers me? No. But everyone else in the mainstream media and law enforcement world is going to see that, oh, that's a homegrown terrorist group. Homegrown terrorism now, uh-oh. Which I've been saying for a long time on my old Facebook page, which I've shut down, that you're going to get ready to hear that word. This was last year. Get ready to hear homegrown terrorism, homegrown extremism. You're going to hear it. Mark my words. So, of course, that's exactly what they labeled those people. Are they? No. No, they're not. You think standing around holding a sign that says, you know, please bankers stop, raping us. Government, please listen to us. We voted for you, help us. And is standing there with a sign. These bankers are lining these politicians' back pockets with full of cash. What are you doing? You think, well, I'm voting them in. They're making $175,000 a year, free health care, free retirement the rest of their lives. I mean, God, that should be enough. I mean, for God's sakes, that's a good paying job. To them, that's chump change. They spend 5 hours every single day. Every day, every one of them spends 5 hours at least campaigning and trying to pull in funds. That's it. The rest of the time of the day that they work, which may not be too many more hours, is actually spent doing stuff, writing up bills, looking into things like that. But 5 hours a day is spent doing nothing more than trying to pull in money. If you or I got a job in Congress, we already know what we would do. And I'm not going to be corrupted. I'm not going to be, oh, well, yeah, it's my turn now. I've suffered enough, and the people don't care anyway, so the hell with them. I'm here for me, and it's my turn. Nothing's going to change with that kind of thinking. And you're going to get yourself killed with that kind of thinking once a revolution in your country, whatever country you may be in, starts. Happens every time in history. Politicians are hunted down and killed. Is this time going to be more different because we've supposedly calmed down and more civil? The way these bankers are acting is so far from being civil, it's going to enrage a lot of people. To the point where, as Gerald Celente says, when people lose it, they've lost everything, they have nothing else to lose, they lose it. And they want revenge. Of course, this is also in many past robot reports, specifically revenge attacks. Guaranteed it'll be coming to a country near you, and every country for that matter. And again, here's another threat from the guy, the IRA terrorist whatever organization. They're threatening to attack the bankers. That was already in the Webart report long ago. Not specifically the IRA, but people, organizations, whatever groupings are going to start attacking and do revenge attacks. It's in several of the last Webart reports. It's going to happen. And it doesn't take a Webart report to figure that out when you know and research history, which most people don't, so they have no clue. They'll be cheering the law enforcement, yeah, get these homegrown terrorists, not even having a clue that they're actually out there fighting for you, basically, and your well-being, and to keep you in your house, and to make sure you don't get raped and pillaged out of your 401k and investments and the rest of it. But you don't know that because you're stupid sheep. The average person is, anyway. Okay, November 16th, this is one of my favorites. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange, or CME, is continuing its assault to stem the speculation on commodities that threaten to go parabolic due to the Fed's quantitative easing 2.0 and subsequent inflation. Last week, silver took a plunge immediately after the CME raised margin rates 30%. In other words, paper silver, you're buying a futures or options contract. You have to have a certain amount of thousands of dollars for the contract itself, and then you have to have a margin or maintenance fee. The maintenance fee allows it so that if, let's just say it's $3,000 for a mini contract of silver, you need another $1,500 on top of that as a maintenance fee. That way, if the price drops a little bit, 10, 20 cents, or more like $1, you're covered. It can go down, that $1,500 kicks in, and it's still in your account, keeps you liquid. If it goes up $1, you just made $1,000. So what they're doing is raising that fee, which in essence is kicking people out because they can't come up with the cash. They like the old leverage of 10 to 1 leveraging that you're allowed to play with the money. You're allowed to play with 1,000 ounces at only 100 ounces worth of money for a mini futures contract. So now it's becoming more of a burden for people to come up with more cash to keep in their maintenance and margin requirements. That's what they're doing. So a week ago, they raised the margin rates, which were from $5,000, and they upped it to $6,500. And it is affecting other commodities such as copper as well. Today, the 16th, the CME is again raising the margin rates, and this is explained by Tyler Durden of Zero Hedge. If at first you don't succeed at killing the higher beta stock short hedge, try again. The CME has just raised its margin requirement on silver again, bringing maintenance margins up from $6,500, which they were $5,000, now they're $6,500, to $7,250. After hiking it less than a week ago for the first time and preventing silver from surpassing the $30 mark. Of course, why the CME is raising it more after the spot price of silver is now far lower than where it was a week ago is a good question. But it is most certainly due to the exchange's risk mitigation concerns. It has nothing to do at all with the intent to continue killing precious metal prices. Possibly. Far more importantly, the CME has finally relented and also raised gold margins as we had expected. The new maintenance margin is up from $4,251 to $4,500. Not much. A minimal increase to allow the CME to have the option in making speculators well aware of this, of hiking rates at any point it so chooses. All in all is now fair and fighting excess record liquidity. Look for a second round of imminent margin hikes in cotton, sugar, coffee, and wheat.